Hey, life is great, I can't complain. Life is great, I can't complain.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Minister's Kid Podcast. This is PA, and I'm here with my good friend John Leo Caleb Davidson. Did I say it right?
You can drop Leo. It's not my real name.
That's not really in your name?
No, it's
Why do you
not.
have that on Facebook?
Well, I'm too lazy to put it down. I mean,
This whole time I thought your name was John Leo Caleb.
no, it's I use it as a reminder. You know, I used to be a very addicted in video games, and that used to be my name. You know, being a Leo, and I kept it over there.
Oh, okay. Well, then just John Caleb Davidson then.
That's
Sure, let's
correct.
go with that. But coming at us live out of Norway.
Hmm.
How's it over there, man?
Well, thank God it just got warmer, and I hope that the winter is just breaking up with us. And this is the first week we have positive or plus degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It's good. Snows are melting.
Yeah, there's still some little ice patches in my backyard at home. So that was awful last week, man. I hated it.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah. So how's everything going with COVID? You got it? Did you ever get it?
I don't think I ever got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had never had those symptoms that people were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Seeing life, everybody good. What about people at church? Has it been?
church is locked down. It's been locked down for a while, and I heard if I heard it correctly, we should be able to gather up to 100 people now from Tuesday. Oh, it's actually today. So yeah, so we should be back to church this Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool, man. So y'all have all these mask rules and stuff over there?
No, not very strict or mandatory.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Y'all just can do whatever you want, huh? All
Pretty
right. I
much.
mean, Texas, Texas, man. They have a
Yeah.
lot of people have signs up, but nobody really follows it. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I wear it if somebody asks me to, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna fight somebody over wearing a mask or something. Like if they say, "Hey, can you put it on?" I'll put it on. But if not, then I'm
Right.
gonna walk around and breathe. So
Yeah, that's good.
that's good, man. That's good. Well, yeah. For people who don't know, this was my roommate. Well, we were roommates sophomore year.
You're sophomore. I'm junior. I was junior. Junior.
Oh, nah, you were still a sophomore, and you did junior year abroad, and then came back for senior year. We're in the same class. Don't try that.
It was a good move, right? You have to admit it.
This guy came freshman year and sophomore year, and then left to go pastor a church for a year. Got married, and
Oh,
came,
that's too much.
then came back, and then went back again.
Hmm.
So it is what it is, man. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you're out there, you and your wife enjoying Norwegian life. How's she adjusting?
Say what?
How's she adjusting to it?
Um, it's kind of slow since this virus is a hindrance to everything almost.
Yeah.
We're pretty much in the house, and we'll go to the city once a week or twice, a couple week, depend on the schedule. Mhm.
Mm. Oh, that's good, man. That's good. Well, yeah. So just wanted to interview you on this. We're definitely gonna have to do this. Will be a part one of. Let's see how long we go. Just because there's so much of your story that I
Oh,
want people to know and people to hear. You can act like you don't have a story, but you got a long story, bro. You got like 3 different lifetimes to talk about. So, and plus, I gotta go teach some lessons and stuff here in a little bit. So, we won't go too long here. But I guess first off, let's start with let's talk about where it began at Burma. What was that like? How old were you when you went from Burma to Thailand?
I was very young. I was uh So I was born in a refugee camp though. It was close to
Mhm.
Burma and Thailand border in between. And yeah, that's where it all started.
Yeah,
My parents moved there, and a few months later, I was born.
yeah. Were you
Mhm.
already, was your dad already in ministry and stuff whenever
Yes,
you were
thank
born?
God. He he converted, or he found the truth. The truth found him 3 years before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty much was born in the church.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So he was in church, but was he a minister already, like pastoring or preaching and stuff?
Not in those boarding position.
Mhm.
He took over when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that was in was now was that in Burma or Thailand?
It was in Thailand in a refugee camp
Yeah.
in the border.
Okay. Okay. Did y'all get to go to Burma? Like I know that now it's a little bit different with Brother
Yeah.
Bly out there doing what he's doing, but what he's doing right now with building, helping build the Bible colleges and all that stuff. When you were younger, and your dad was preaching and getting into ministry and stuff. He couldn't go to Burma and do all that, right?
Not so as often as he would like to, but
Mhm.
he tried like a couple times a year.
Yeah.
With all those back then, it was a little bit difficult with the transportation. You know,
Mhm.
we have to rely on ground transportation, and the road wasn't that good. Not as good as right now. I
Yeah.
mean, it was hard. You have to pretty much spend a whole day to get to place to pl- place A to B. You
Hmm.
know, and the sometimes geography doesn't allow. It's
Yeah.
just too impossible. Even some place today, you cannot even get there with vehicle, or
Yeah.
you have to pretty much a motorcycle will in some cases will allow you.
Hmm.
It's really uh, hilly and mountains range, and
Yeah.
it's difficult.
So did y'all have a church in the refugee camp that y'all were going?
Yes,
That y'all
my
started up?
dad pastor one uh, in from 1996
Hmm.
until 2005 when we left to come to Norway.
Hmm. In 2000, so 96 to 2005, so
Yeah.
about 9 years. Awesome. So did they give like I know like Burma? So with refugeeing from Burma, was it mainly racial or religious persecution that y'all were
I would say it's more like a political.
political?
Mhm.
Because the military was.
Yeah, even right now there's protests in the military taking over.
Hmm.
It's pretty bad.
And so with those politicals though, did they allow Christianity to exist, or the powers that are the military power that's over it right now, are they do they not care whatever you do with religion, or are they like Muslim, or they or Christian, are they certain things, or is there like a religious thing that they're trying to push?
Well, it really depends on which authority we're talking about. Let's say
Mhm.
the past 4 or 5 years, it has been really good, and we have had works in a pretty, I would say, almost very peaceful and without disturbance, as long as
Mhm.
you're within the law. And I'm not so sure about what's going to happen if the military is taking complete over,
Yeah,
and it's not going to be as easy as it used to be the past 4 or 5 years.
yeah, yeah. They might not even allow church, huh?
Yeah, it will be hard.
And so then, did y'all face the same things in Thailand, or was that more
No, it's
free?
pretty much freedom in
Okay.
liberty, freedom of religion and everything in
Mhm.
a refugee camp. Yeah.
Did Billy Cole go to Thailand?
Yes, he did, but I never heard of him back then.
Oh, you didn't hear him back
Never
then.
heard of it until I went to Texas Bible College. Yeah.
So this guy's over in your country just doing all, which you might have.
Yeah.
I don't know his years that he was over there. If he was there at the same, you might have already went to Norway. by the time he was over. I don't know when he was doing his stuff out there. I just know that I remember that story Brother Moore told us
Mhm.
about that lady in Thailand praying
Yeah.
and Billy Cole being there, but Reverend Billy Cole, excuse me. But yeah, so he might have been in Norway already, or you might have been in Norway already
Um,
by the time he was doing all that. So it's probably
or
how you
maybe it could be earlier than that. I'm not so sure. But I
Mm,
was in a refugee camp, so it's very uh how you say that, isolated
yeah,
from pretty much the rest of the world.
yeah.
So
So you
we
know
don't,
what was
yeah,
okay.
back then there isn't technology like today.
Hmm.
We don't have phone, we don't have internet, or it's
Yeah. So how did the message get to your dad? The truth.
it's a very long story, but I can shorten it if you want
Make it
to.
make it medium.
Make it medium, okay. Well, there were a couple missionaries from Australia.
Hmm.
They came to refugee camp. Before that, they went all the way to Burma. They were smuggling the Bible into Burma.
Hmm.
And later on, when they found out that there was a refugee camp on the border, they went there and found a door through a couple people. And later on, the work just developed.
Before
Back in
before you,
1980, the late 80s and beginning of
yeah,
early 1990s, before I was born.
before you keep going on that, was the refugee camp set up by a foreign people? Like, was it a Thai? Who set up the refuge? Who
It
was
was I it was arranged by the United Nations.
okay?
It was under the protection of the United Nations,
Right, but it
and
was a
the cooperation
secret.
with the Thai authorities.
Okay, so then the missionaries from Australia got in to get
Mhm,
there,
mhm.
and then what happened from there?
Um, the camp is very open for foreign assistance,
Hmm.
and we have a lot of people from America, Canada, France, the Netherlands that try to build the community. Some people work on the education department. Some people work on the health. Some people work on the hygiene and uh, all that stuff. To make everything function.
Yeah,
So, but they went there as a teacher, and then introduced the apostolic message after they got a connection with a couple people.
hmm.
Mhm.
So it just was it like Bible studies type deal, or was it like a crusade? Like you see those
It
crusades in foreign countries.
it started as Bible story,
Hmm.
and later on, my dad even graduated a 3-year Bible school under the training.
Okay.
So it was then
Hmm.
all started back the early 1990s, between 1990 until my dad took over 1996.
Yeah.
They were there for a while.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So do y'all still, or does he still have connection with
Yes,
that?
we still have connection and we're still working together. It's
Mm,
a little bit difficult with the current situation, but yeah, we're
yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
updated.
Have you been over there to Australia?
Yes, I did. The year that I took off from my school, I went there
Oh, you went
early 2000.
the year you were
Yeah.
vacationing from school. You went to Australia, huh?
Yep, I was just travel around.
Uh huh. Whatever, man. And that's cool, dude. So, whenever you were, how I guess, how old are you, or what was that moment like whenever you realized that your dad was a minister of the gospel and that you are the son of a minister? Like, was there ever a moment, or was it just something that you just were always used to because you were a kid? Or when was that moment that you realized the importance of who your dad was?
It was the latter part, what sounds more accurate. It has always been like, okay, my dad is a minister, but it start to make me rethink my understanding in the year in 2012.
Hmm.
Not because people were saying that the world gonna end or anything like that, but That was a story I can tell you that really changed my mind. I can make it very short. I
Mhm.
was laying in bed and very, very sick. Like, I don't usually get sick, but my fever was really high, and I, uh, I couldn't take it anymore. And then my dad was sitting on the couch and reading the Bible. I slept in the living room that night. So
Mhm.
I went to him. I was like, "Hey, Dad, I'm tired of this fever. You know, I just want to get better." Then I listened to a song. Probably you know it. It says that amazing, amazing. How could it be? You my king, you die for me. That phrase really hit me. And then
Yeah.
I went to him. I said, "Hey, I need you to pray for me." And then he prayed for me. We just talked a little bit. I was crying, and then 30 minutes later, the fever left. And that was the moment I realized that okay, this is something that I have to keep alive with me. This
Mhm.
message and all this, it changed the perspective, the way I think, the way I perceive this doctrine. It started out that year in 2000, the end of 2012.
Okay. So when y'all were in the refugee camp and going back and forth between Burma and Thailand, was there ever any moment like that was like scary in the sense like your dad might have almost lost his life or got thrown in jail or something could have happened to your family?
Yeah, it's there was one story, but I'm not sure I should tell it. But it's
Yeah, keep
it's
it
just
stuff as safe as possible.
yeah, I could just say that God was really manifesting His power.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it was you can't even explain it how He worked things out,
Yeah.
and every time we talk about it, we get emotional, and it's just you just feel the goodness of God, how He worked through those situations.
Hmm.
It Some people would say it's a life and death situation. You
Hmm.
got through those people. They don't operate under the laws or anything. So, but God was really manifesting His power.
Yeah.
And looking back in time, I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna do that again or not. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome, man. I'm glad he brought y'all through, or else I
Mhm.
wouldn't have got to meet you, man. I appreciate and love
Let
you.
Let me add a little bit though, so that people can understand.
Yeah.
Uh, as my dad were working in the ministry
Mm.
on the other side of the border in Thailand, it was more liberty. It's not more like anything life threatening or anything like that. But we 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 lived in the refugee camp. We don't have all those liberty like the citizen will have. Some
Mm.
people will get arrested and they have to pay some fine. But it worked out. My dad would go to some villages where not even a bicycle can get through. It's just deep in the jungle and stuff. That's yeah, that's how some of the work started over there. And yeah, it's pretty very, very um you have a liberty to move around, unlike unlike the other side, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But
So,
I really hope that it will change,
mhm.
because Paul says that many doors is open, but many doors has been open, but we have a lot of adversary.
Yeah.
A lot of people are hungry for the truth. Hope that there's some windows for us.
Well, it looks like, like I said earlier, a little bit earlier, Brother Boy is over there
Uh-huh.
and that they're actually getting some things done. Of course, COVID and things like that
Yeah,
have gotten in
that's really
the
messed
way,
up.
but it does seem like things are starting to, change a little bit. So that's good, man. What about the church? And still, we're still talking about Burma and Thailand and that period of life and ministry. But was there ever a moment where either fellow ministers who maybe your parents thought were on their side, or even members of one of the churches that he helped or the villages that he helped, where they just kind of where your dad was in a time of brokenness because of maybe some people that he had been teaching Bible studies to for a long time quit the church, or maybe some people tried to turn y'all in and get y'all in trouble. Do you remember any? You don't have to really go into deep detail about it, but do you remember what that moment was and how it affected your house? Like, was your dad and mom sad? Were you sad? Brothers, sisters? Like, what was that moment like?
So we have a couple of incidents. As you already know, people come and go,
Oh,
and some people didn't just come and go. They will come and create, story drama that will impact it, those people in the ministry, and then things will kind of heat up a little bit. That it really impact the family, the way we view things, and the family relationship. There was a couple times it's been really difficult, but in the end, God worked things out. We do have some minister that kind of just betrayers. They would just do their own things, and but we have a lot of people that are faithful in the walk with God and faithful in the relationship that we have.
yeah. So whenever all that was going on, how did because some people I've talked to, they said either their family got together and they were praying every day, every week and fasting, and while others said that they just kind of kept pushing, kept on doing the work, didn't let it bother them too much, and they just kept going and God worked it out. How do you think that y'all handled it? Did y'all come together and unify, or did y'all just keep keep doing the work and keep plowing through until things changed?
Most of the time it will be like that, but there's a time that it varies from a situation to situation. It's really depend on those.
Yeah.
And most of the time the church will come together and the family will come together and pray about it, talked about it, and then they did the best to find a solution instead of trying to do their own stuff. But yeah, they seek counsel from the spirit, and things got better. Sometimes it just didn't work.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So did y'all, when y'all got into where your dad was in it and your whole family, were those missionaries from Australia that came, were they UPC or were they just oneness people?
They came out of the UPC, but they still kept the message,
Right.
the doctrine and
So
stuff.
they're
That's
probably
how we
independent
yeah.
type.
Mhm.
So is your dad UPC? Is he any affiliation or is he just ministering
Back then, or
back then?
yeah,
When
back then, yeah, no,
Burma,
bro.
Burma,
We didn't
Thailand,
even, yeah, we didn't even know UPC or anything like that.
you
We
know, there was
just know that there is one God and Jesus is his name, and we have to be baptized in water in his name. We don't know those organizations, but they did introduce, or they did inform my dad that the church exists in Burma. So when he went back there in 1990, 97, 98, he even met Brother Bernard there and took pictures. I'm not sure I'll show you, but yeah, that's when we found out that we share common faith and doctrine. Yeah, but I didn't meet the church until in 2013 when I met my pastor here in Norway. Didn't know that the church exists here. Mhm.
Didn't Brother Bernard's parents, weren't they missionaries?
No, they were in Korea.
They're in Korea. Okay.
Mhm.
Now this is his books that he wrote. Cause I know he's got his books in a bunch of different languages, but those four, the series, the One
Yeah,
Man, New Birth,
yeah,
are those in Korean or in Thai?
not completely.
Uh-huh.
Some people try to translate it partially, mainly those big points.
Right.
Mhm.
Do you speak both Thai and Korean?
Not Thai. Speak Korean, my mother tongue, and Burmese.
Mm-hmm.
I still need to refresh it up a little bit. That's why when I was at work, I'm spend some time listening to those Burmese songs and stuff. Mhm.
And speaking of songs, how was what were services like, if you can remember back then, in the refugees and stuff
It's
like?
very easy to remember. I don't know. Forget. We still use those stuff, those old songs today.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much a very um, they will have a fast moment and then
Hmm.
slow moment where you connect when you
Hmm.
invite the spirit and you connect with him.
Hmm. And they
It's really
just
like dancing, clapping, jumping stuff.
yeah, yeah. So was it like a mixture of hymnals and like elevation, but in that language, or was it songs that I wouldn't know translated in English?
Um, it's very old songs that they've been translated like back in 1980, 80,
So they're
90s stuff.
so they're English songs that got translated
Yes.
for y'all to be able to sing. And
Yeah. My
that's
aunt
awesome.
translated those.
Well, what were the? Because you've been to American church. Now, let me change that. You've been, which you probably have been to church in different parts of America, but
Mhm,
you've been to Texas church,
mhm.
and not just Texas church, because you know all the churches. There wasn't one church that you went to in Texas that was the same. They were all different, no matter if they were in Diboll and Lufkin or Nacogdoches, and you know
Yeah.
places where they're close by, or North Texas. My church down here in Beaumont. So like you've seen different types of churches.
Uh-huh.
Is the church that you grew up in Thailand and in Burma and all those places, were those church services 1,000 times completely different than what you've experienced here, or are there some similarities?
Some similarity
Mm-hmm.
um, in terms of um, well, we try to insert those kind of style of music into our worship. But it didn't work out so well, but
Mm-hmm.
it might be because of the language and
Mm-hmm.
the style and the people maybe. But yeah, we have a lot of similarity beside those stuff.
Yeah. What about the atmosphere? Like, because you know how America, it's, let's face it, you go over to foreign countries and do a service or whatever, you could have 2,000 people get the Holy Ghost at one, crusade. I don't know how
Mhm.
that translates throughout like the week and like regular days, but it seems like other countries, and people say that America's spoiled. That's why it's harder for us to have church the way that other foreign countries do. But did you notice that a little bit? Like church over here, is it so much easier to be connect quickly? Like, do the people respond to the spirit easier? I'm talking about Burma, Thailand, because I know that Norway is a whole different story. But was there a
Yeah.
hunger and a desperation in churches when you were there?
Yeah, I wish I could show you the video, but I know that we have a restriction
Right.
on time. But I'll do that later, maybe,
Uh,
where people have worship. If sometimes okay, last 2 years ago when I was in Burma,
yeah.
at the place where my dad was building Bible school,
Mm-hmm.
the the minister was, well, they were always into worship. They before every class they would have a worship and
Yeah.
praise before the the teacher get into the podium and start speaking. They would have praise and worship.
Yeah.
Even in the evening, sometimes the electricity is not not really faithful to to
Mm-hmm.
us, but there were, when the power's out, they would just continue praising. I have those videos. I didn't get the chance to show you last year, but yeah, people were hungry, but it also varies from service to service.
Yeah.
Uh, the bigger event stuff, when we have special
The more.
services,
Mhm.
yeah. Mhm.
I guess last couple of questions here is
Sure.
what was the response whenever, I don't know if you ever got to go and outreach or anything like that, but was it I won't say easy, but you feel like people were in that hunger able to come to church and be a part of the church easier, or was there still, because some countries, uh, it's a hard resistance, hard push because of religious stuff or whatever. But in other countries, it's like you see missionaries or people go and they're able to grow churches like that because that country's hungry. So when your dad was witnessing and trying to win people for the Lord, were they hesitant or were they open to hear what he had to say?
It's varies from place to place and depend on
Mm-hmm.
how people are hungry spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, say, give you pictures. The past 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
we started 8 churches in Burma and a couple other workplaces,
Yeah.
and we were expecting 2 or 3 more the coming months.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do face um, resistance
Yeah.
among other, denomination and
Right.
religion, because as you know, Burma is not Christian country, Christian nation. The dominant religion is Buddhism, and yeah, it's a lot of paganism.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we do see some places they would be just open and they will be very welcoming and they will give a chance to hear it. That's how the church is growing
Yeah.
rapidly.
Yeah. So there were some that was open and some that.
Yes, but we're not talking about thousands of people.
Right.
It's not going to be that simple
Uh-huh.
because of all those circumstances.
Yeah.
But the work is going, which is amazing, and people are seeing.
That's awesome, man. So I guess my last question, and we'll wrap this up because I gotta go and you probably got
Yeah.
stuff you need to do and everything. But was there a family, maybe more than one, but one particular family in that time frame of your life that was really close and helped your family in pursuit of the ministry, like a family that you got really close with, their kids, or your kids, you and their kids played together, um, your parents were friends and stuff like that, that really kind of helped you or helped your dad and everything that was trying to get accomplished? And do you still have some type of contact with them today?
Yes. As you know, while I was in the state, I will travel to Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
That's where majority of the church, the member from the refugee camp
Yeah.
were located. When they
Mm-hmm.
found out that the when they found out the church in the American church, Pastor Key was pastoring the church right now, and
Yeah.
he's doing an amazing job. And when the people found out that they get fed with the truth over there with the doctrine, they get
Mm-hmm.
trained. They would just call each other and try to locate each other in that town in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah.
And they help each other um, looking for job and providing other necessary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And those family used to be really, really wingman for my dad's ministry. And even today, they still working. And of course, we have my dad has 4 wingmen,
Yeah.
4 people that are will be like in his team. They will
Mm-hmm.
be helping him with the outreach and stuff. Uh, some of them relocated in other countries. Like we have a family in the UK, a really good friend. We know each other for a long time. And we have a couple family in Australia and some in the United States.
Okay.
Those people are really helping. We would say the building block,
Yeah.
the foundation,
Foundation building
foundation.
block
Yeah.
of the church. That's awesome, man.
Mhm.
Well, hey, dude, look, appreciate your time. Thanks
Thank you.
for taking time out. We are going to talk again to get more. Like I said, you got like a 3-part life to talk about. So thanks again. I'm sign this
Yeah.
out. This has been another episode of Ice Ministries podcast, The Minister's Kid, with my friend John. Take out the Leo, Caleb, Davidson, appreciate you, man. Let your wife know I said hello. I know we
Yes,
spoke
sir.
earlier. And just y'all keep taking care. And hey, man, when all this stuff lifts up, me and my wife got to come out to Norway. I got to take her out there. Hey, I told her we were watching Thor the other
Uh-huh.
day, and you know, in Ragnarok where Odin was,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so I told her, hey, Caleb lives there. She's like, what? I was like, he don't
Yeah.
live on that mountain, but he loves the view. So definitely, man, we're
Pretty
gonna try to
close.
save up and make our way out there. Of course, we're probably gonna have to get like a whole month off because we're gonna have to quarantine when
You
we get
should. Yeah, yeah,
and then so, but
yeah.
man, we'll try to connect and
Yes,
everything.
sir.
Take care, brother, and I'll talk to you again. Thank you
Do
so
that.
much for being a
I'll be
part.
waiting.
All right,
Awesome,
man.
awesome.
All
It's
right,
good to
bye.
see you.
Hey, life is great, I can't complain. Life is great, I can't complain.